Hi, my name is Oscar Alejandro Lopez and this is my video.
You would think
You would think that saying sorry will get easier the older we become, as children will like the word to describe how we feel inside,
but it doesn't.
but it doesn't. In fact, as adults we now have two problems.
One,
One, we never learn to say sorry properly, and
we're
two,
anxious about doing so.
we're anxious about doing
And
so.
that's completely understandable.
And that's completely understandable. We live in a very complex world, and we all yearn for simplicity.
Basically,
We favor emojis or emotions.
But sometimes you can't afford to not show how.
But sometimes you can afford to not show how sorry you are. Sometimes everything is on the line. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I stand beside people on one of the hardest days of their life, and they are alive and their friend and their advocate, but also the guilt and the blame shame. And I am with them when they are the most vulnerable they will be ever, and trust me, being vulnerable is terrifying. But through vulnerability, we can access our authentic voice, and we will do so magic happens. In the abstract, I'm talking about clear vision, less miscommunication, better outcomes, but in the practical. In my work, I'm talking about the difference between going to jail and going home. The difference between seeing your children twice a year or twice a week, and those disputes that can be resolved into a last lifetime. You see, people are more happy than sacrifice their voice to mine because my voice has the benefit of formal training and experience. But I'm here to tell you that that's a mistake. No, nobody, not the girl, not my mom, wants an apology from Jahan Kalantar. They want to hear your apology with all those flaws and imperfections. So the best apology that I ever heard was from a 20 years old sort of name Sam. Finished formal education in from my practice, you could tell that he was good in the keep a lot of trouble. Anderson, with the wrong explaining was like pulling teeth. So what are they asking to this? A letter of poetry. This is a wonderful piece of everything that the courts consider when sentencing you. It lets them know the kind of person that you understand. Have you done the wrong thing on the day of sentencing exam arrives? He hands me the letter. It's very a paragraph long. I'll read to you. It's something in my head and those years ago. You're majestic.
Forgive my nefarious
Consternation.
It's okay if it doesn't
It's
make
okay
sense.
if it doesn't make sense. I read a lot of apologies. It's a completely good. But I remember looking at Sims and I said, Sam, what is this? What have you written? And I felt bad because your lawyer does have favor, but he explained it to me. He said, Jahan, I don't like English very much. I got bullied at school. I was called stupid as well. But I wanted the judge to know how sorry I was. So what I did was I got a dictionary and sorry. I found the word that I felt like sad. And then I found the fancy version.
It took me 8 hours to write that letter.
It took me 8 hours to write that letter. But I wanted the judge to know I was sorry. That is authenticity. That is vulnerability that you cannot fake. Any young man who has spent 8 hours doing something he hates because he wants to show how sorry he is get, and is different from the CF. I'm sorry you feel that way. That seems to be flying around and counting for the apology. So, what goes into apology? There's a framework you can always use. It goes why, because, and always. So start with why would you're sorry. Sorry I couldn't make your text call.
Because I know you worked very hard
Sorry I
on
can
it.
because I know you work very hard on it. Finish with an L. If you give another text call, I'll be there. Good apology. You very misconceived, but I get apology.
But this framework
can help whatever we need. Like
Let's talk about gratitude.
on our side, let's talk about gratitude. I was acting for a young man once. He was polite and respectful, and very different to how the police factions seemed to describe him. On the night in question, this young man was studying for his final school examination has a breakdown. He grabbed a knife and attacked his family. He drank laundry detergent. He destroyed property and ultimately made some very serious threat. When I met him, you could tell this young man did not a lecture. He needed help, and sometimes being a lawyer means helping outside of the courtroom as well. So is integrative advocate. We managed to convince this young man and his family who had very strong views about mental health to seek help and he rose to the challenge. He go to the help and needed involved his family, involved his friends, and finally it came time for sentencing. The judge who reeled of the evidence, including a beautiful written letter for this young man, which described the pain inside like a hurricane. He didn't know could he could counterpass sentence. He thanks this young man. Thank you, young man, by taking control of your mental health issues. And I know you're giving yourself the best chance to get ahead. And I know you do a great thing. And the court was right that young man has gone under. And reasonably is because the girl took a chance and was vulnerable with him in plain English, with all legal. So what's the lesson that learned in a lifetime of helping people in a moments of chaos? Well, when you say sorry, mean it. Look the people in the eye. Use the framework. Don't be afraid to say sorry because you too busy looking for the perfect words. And when you say thank you, mean it. Look people in the eye. Don't be afraid to say kind words because life is very hard and people don't hear kind words nearly often enough. And the next time you make a mistake or you need to thank someone for something, don't be afraid to be vulnerable and authentic. Because the power of any message is how honest a place is the start of the journey. Not how many times it gets censored by a lawyer. And so I want to thank you all today for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I've been allowed to share something that means a great deal to me, and I promise that if you ever use my framework, it will have even in your very own tongue. Why? Because I'm thank you. Okay, so this man, Jahan Kalantar, talk about the a plan to say sorry to another people. He called this process like a perfect apology in 3 steps. He talked about he's a lawyer and he helped the people in their moments, the hardest moments in their life, and he talked about uh, a child, a young man, sorry, who attacks their family, and this young man says sorry to the court, and and this is a great lesson to us because we have to learn how to say sorry when we need to say sorry and how to say thank you when we need to say thank you. I mean, if I have a problem with my mom and I have the guilt, I need to say sorry. I need to think what I'm going to say and feel what I'm really feeling and say sorry. And if I want to say thank you to my mom or my father, I have to say thank you naturally and honestly because it's important to be honest when you say sorry or when you say thank you. And when we say sorry with a kind with kind words, the other people feel kind, feel happy, feel better with himself or herself. And when we say thank you with kind words, it's the same thing. And the people feel better with himself or herself and feel happy. And this is the 3 steps that they said in their speech how to about how to say sorry. and thank you.